I've noticed a lot of people don't RSVP to things, and it just, you're gonna miss out on a lot of events, I will say. Like, it's entitled ... Tammy with entitled ... Wedding and Event Planning Professional, and we are back with another video. Now this video is entitled RSVP Necessary. RSVP Necessary. RSVPs are very, very, very important. This is how your host will know if you are attending the event, if you're not attending the event, +1, meal choice, all types of things. So it is very, 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 very important. RSVPs, I will tell you, is not my most favorite part of planning, because this essentially, like everything else, is out of my control. However, you are dependent upon that participant to get you the information back and to do it in a timely fashion. So let's start with, what does RSVP stand for? RSVP stands for, in French, répondez s'il vous plaît. In English, please answer, please respond, aka get the RSVP back to me in a timely fashion. So when do you use RSVPs? RSVPs can be used for any type of event or setting. So if you're planning a birthday party, if you are planning a anniversary, if you're planning a wedding, if you're planning a vow renewal, if you're planning sorority or fraternity events, if you are planning anything under the sun, most people are going to use an RSVP. Now, how they'll use an RSVP, you can either do it electronically, a hard copy, or a mixture of the two. So what are we going to talk about in this video? We are going to talk about my people. I love y'all, but I need y'all to answer RSVPs, please. It is very important. I've noticed for cultural events, many people don't want to RSVP or choose not to and just show up anyway, and that's not how that works. So we'll talk about that. RSVP etiquette, of course, which is in addition to that, and we are also going to talk about traditional versus newer trends that I am starting to see. So what information is necessary from the host? So the hosts in their RSVPs should include the event type, the event title, the date, the time, the location, RSVP due dates, the type of attire, whether the guest is accepting or declining the invitation, the meal choice, dietary restrictions, as well as some people also do optional checkbox for the type of songs that you would like to hear at the wedding. All right, so what should be sent back to the host from an attendee perspective? You want to make sure you send your name, your email, your phone number, if you are accepting or declining, your meal choice with your dietary restriction, of course, if applicable, your +1, their meal, their name. Now, we had a rule for our wedding. Our rule was that we didn't allow a +1 if we didn't prior meet the person. It was our personal rule to do that. Some people don't mind if they have the wiggle room and the space for additional +1s, but I just feel like, honestly, if I've never met you before, and the one time that I do get to meet you is at a wedding where we are potentially paying for a plate, then honestly, like, there were different circumstances, of course, like if the person, let's say, was out of town, or, you know, like they didn't live in the area, then of course we kind of made the exception to the rule depending on who they were. All of our bridal party did get a +1 option, but when it came to guests that were not in the bridal party, that was our rule, and I'm not mad that we stuck to that rule. That rule actually can get you very far in life. Very hard. It's awkward sometimes to, you know, meet people at big social settings such as that, and it gets weird. Like, don't be weird. Just, you know, there's so many events that you can meet a person prior to this major event. A birthday, or a cookout, or Thanksgiving, or, you know, there's multiple opportunities to meet these +1s. So that was our personal rule, but to each his own, as I always say. So RSVP etiquette, let's speak on that. Let's speak on that for just a second. So when should the RSVPs be sent out? 8 to 12 months before the wedding, or if you are hosting a special event like a birthday or just a party itself, you don't really have to send them out that early. 3 to 6 months is more than enough time, and 6 months is being extra. 3 months is pretty cordial. So yeah, when should those RSVPs be received back? They should be received back to the couple no later than 2 to 3 months before the wedding. If it is an event, there are exceptions to that rule. But to make sure you have secured and solidified your spot, 2 to 3 months, and I'd like to say, people know months in advance when they're going on a vacation, when they're doing all these other things. Schedule your time accordingly, as if this event were one that you were hosting. You know, you wouldn't want people to RSVP at the last minute, and then now you're scrambling, trying to figure out what you're gonna do, or your planner's figuring out. Like, it's just, please, I can't stress it enough. Formal writing, that's usually, so formal RSVP etiquette. I always say, if you are not sure, Google is your best friend, as well as a planning professional to help you write your RSVPs if you're not sure how to properly format everything. Yeah, but nowadays I've noticed it hasn't been such a big deal. No one's gonna really pay attention to you saying we request the honor versus please join us. You know, like, it's not rocket science, but if you want to make it look nice, then there's certain steps and certain tools you can use to format everything correctly. I have one rule for RSVP etiquette for the people, as I list the audience as the people. Please, as I said again, send it back, and send it back in a timely fashion. Please. Cannot stress that enough. Like, it's so nerve-wracking to not know if somebody is attending, but then let's say they're a close cousin or close family member, and you know that they're coming. Like, hey, Susie, are you coming to the event? Please let me know. And then my RSVP etiquette rule for the host: stick to your due date. If your due date says it is due July 23rd, by midnight. Please stick to that. Do not, please don't alter it for the people. Because the people are gonna people. They're either gonna show up or they're not. But stick to your rule because it will save you a lot of stress in the long run. Will you feel bad if the person doesn't RSVP and you put them down as a no? Yes. It hurts. But sometimes people gotta know that this is my anchor and I am sticking to it. This boat isn't sailing. It's not going anywhere. I'm anchoring down. This was the due date. Stick to it and keep it moving. Especially for my peeps. I love y'all. I really do. But I've noticed a lot of people don't RSVP to things. And it just, you're going to miss out on a lot of events, I will say. So what did we decide to do? Which brings me to my second vendor collaboration. Yay! We made it to number 2. So we decided to do an Etsy invite, hard copy. As you see, it came with an envelope. We bought the twine and the actual invitation in the inside. So this was the first half of our RSVPs. The envelope has a nice, it was very hard to decide on the invitation. There were so many good ones out there and we kind of started with a theme. So we kind of kept going with that theme. It came out of nowhere. So we did like a velvet inside the card. And we decided on a trifold sort of invitation. Focus is going crazy. Alright, so we chose a Maya Angelou quote. And also we went with a frosted sort of plexi invite. Now, the Maya Angelou quote that we chose is, if you have only one smile in you, give it to the people you love. Maya Angelou. Great quote. This is what we want to share with you and our audience and our host. As a host, our audience and our guests and our participants, whatever you'd like to be called, we wanted to make sure that our guests felt, especially our immediate family and friends, felt like they were receiving a gift of some sort of keepsake from us. The honor of your presence is requested at the Union of Tamisha and Albert on Friday, October 6, 2023 at 4 o'clock in the afternoon at our residence. That's why this is blurred. But yes. Best decision we could have made is only getting a certain number. I think we got about 40. And that was it. Wedding invites, as you know, can be very, very costly. If you are getting, if you got it in your budget, do it. Like I said, it was a very, very good idea for us to do that. And then the other half of that is that we chose to do a website for the masses. So if you were up to date on your technology and you knew how to use the email, then we sent you an email link for all of your other additional information, like your dietary restrictions and those sorts of things. We chose for our menu to only give people what we gave them. And if they couldn't eat it, then they didn't, which will be in a later video. So we decided not to do a save the date. We haven't talked much about save the dates because they are an additional luxury. If it's in your budget to do, the save the dates are the items that you send out. It is almost like a RSVP, but you send it out well over 12 months before the wedding. So that it informs the people that things are coming and happening and our event is going to take place. Please keep your calendar open. Like I said, we chose not to do a save the date. We had already been telling people that we were potentially getting married in 2023. So, like, people knew, but it kind of is an additional reminder if you do it. If I did have the option to do a save the date, I definitely would have done a magnet save the date. Those are so cute. I see them all the time. That's one of the trends as well. I see them all the time on my friends' refrigerators, and you know, they got the engagement photo with the make sure you leave your calendar open. We're getting married this point in time. So we went a little untraditional with how we did our RSVPs/invitations. And I say this because we did hand deliver all of the invitations to our families and our families. We did go around. So my husband's from South Carolina. I'm from DC. So most of my family is in the DMV area, and all of his family is pretty much in South Carolina. So when we went in the summertime to visit his family, we made it a particular trip to go around to each of his aunts and uncles and sit with them and talk to them. And then when we got back up here, we would go to my aunt and uncle's houses and just sit and talk. And it was one of the best experiences I and he could ever have, because we don't often get time to spend with our family members. And when we do, we're super on the go. So we're always busy most of the time doing something. But to just sit down and be able to, you know, hear stories. Like my uncle used to work for this company. It's a pretty well-known company in DC, and he was telling us how he started at the company, and you know, he went through most of his work history telling us stories. And then when we sat down with his aunts and uncles, my hubby, when we sat down with them, you know, they would tell us stories about, you know, their wedding or about just anything that they wanted to talk about pretty much. And it was just so sweet, and it's such an enduring experience. If you ever have the opportunity to do that, because that's truly what a wedding is about. It's about getting to know family and learning things that you may have never knew about, you know, your aunts and uncles. There are questions I've never asked my aunts and uncles, and I wish I had, like, prior to me being in my 30s, you know. So it's very important, and it was just a very touching experience for the both of us, because like I said, we had never done that before. And you know, melting the families together, it just made all the more of the experience. So if you can and are able to, you know, please. And I have family in New York. He had family in New York. So we just, you know, he had an aunt that he hadn't seen in years. And so it was very sweet and very touching. Yeah. So how did the bridal party receive their invitations? So we ended up doing a bridal box for our bridal party. So for them, we did have to mail their boxes to them, but it was such an enlightening experience even doing that. They were just so happy and just couldn't wait to see what was to come. And that'll be in the next video. All right, so like I stated, for the second half, we gave the website link out to everyone. What did we use? We used The Knot. The Knot was an amazing website to use. It was so easy. It was very simple. They didn't complicate things. Like, we got to pick a theme, and we got to pick photos from, you know, us going on dates or, you know, doing activities. we liked the knot. I would definitely use the knot again. I wish in the beginning I had done a passcode protected website, which I did not, and then shortly remembered that I probably should put a passcode on the website because our residence was listed on it. So went back, changed everything, worked out. We also used the knot because they had multiple reminders. So you can set as many reminders as you want to send to people. The only thing about it is it's very tedious, and you have to make sure you either have the telephone or emails of the people that you're sending the information to. Of course, that's why I stated earlier, you need all of the information so that it just makes the process so much simpler. If you want to text the link to people, text it. If you want to email it to people, you can email it. So they kind of streamlined that process a little bit on the knot, which we really appreciated. The reminders, like I said, you could send as many as you want. You would need to select like 2 weeks out, a month out, and it would automatically just send everybody the reminder. You didn't have to go back in and do anything. It was pretty simple. Like I said, it allowed you to input additional information. So we were able to put in like our backstory, how parking was gonna work, hotel accommodations. We did do a room block that it wasn't too far from our home. So that it made it easier for guests to kind of figure out if they wanted to stay close, and if they didn't want to use that hotel, they were more than happy to choose somewhere else to stay if they were staying. And then also our different events, we were able to put, like, I know that many of our bridal party didn't use the website for our welcome dinner, but we did do a welcome dinner at Bond 45 in National Harbor, which was amazing. Had a great time. It was so much fun. We were able to put that information on the website, but we didn't share it with any of the bridal party. We pretty much called them to verify that they were going to make it. Of course, if you're in the bridal party, you're coming. So that's pretty much all we did. But it was a great way for us to keep up with who was attending and, who might not be, or who had some sort of dietary restriction. As a final courtesy, we also called around to our family and friends who either had not RSVP'd or were on the fence and weren't sure if they were going to be able to attend. So we called a good bit of people to make sure, called, text, anything under the sun, just to make sure the people were gonna attend. And it can get very tedious, like that could be a very tedious process. You have to call everyone. So I understand why some people do those hard copy invitations. It kind of holds the people accountable. If you don't mail back your RSVP, then you don't have a seat at the table. So, another thing I forgot to mention, if you do have hard copy invites, you also have to make sure that you budget for postage as well. So that should be in your budget, or the budget provided by your planner, to keep you up to date with all the information. Because that is an expense that most people don't really think about. And yeah, so the call arounds, were somewhat successful, somewhat unsuccessful, because some of those people that did tell us they were coming, even that 2 weeks prior to the wedding, some still didn't show. And that's just the nature of the business. You have to just expect as close as possible to what you can, and just, if you're not sure, overestimate. You rather have to, I don't say you have to pay for people even if they don't show, but that's the nature of hosting an event or a wedding. Like, you're never gonna hit the nail on the head unless it is like a ticketed event. So yeah, it's just the nature of the biz. Why did we choose to do the RSVPs the way that we did it? Like I stated, it was more cost effective, honestly, not to have to order 200 invitations for those that may not want to attend, or, you know, it was going to be a waste of money to do all of those invites and, you know, have to mail them, and, you know, that you just accruing more costs at that point in time. So I love the way that we did it. Wouldn't take it back or trade it for the world. Like I said, it was a more intimate experience as well for us, because we got to sit and talk to family and have such a closer connection with everybody. Also, I noticed that for invites, people tend not to keep them. So there's another waste. If you don't think people are going to keep your invitations, there's no point in mailing hard copy invitations. Just go ahead and do the email, WEBLINK situation. Like I said, the Knot was a great resource and tool for us. And then if we had questions and they had like facts on the pages, you know, it was just a lot easier to navigate. And then due to the theme that we chose, that our invitation went perfectly with our fall themed wedding. It was really nice to have it, and when people received it, they were just so excited. Like, it just got everything. It's kind of like the first showing of your wedding, you know, like, oh, if this is where we're going, like, I'm excited to see where else this is gonna lead, you know. So it's a great like opener for those attending your wedding to get excited and to, you know, just be and be present in the moment, you know. If I had the option to do another invitation, I hate that you can only choose one invitation, like you can choose one. They have some new trendy ones, and I will list pictures. They have like a laser cut situation. They have the, you know, video invites now. There's a lot of 3D sort of raised lettering invites, which are really cool. And then there are the different shaped ones. I know there are like the half moon looking ones, or half arch. I don't know how they are titled, but they are really cute, and I would have appreciated those too. But we can only choose one. We've come to our conclusion of the day, and I guess it would be, would we use the Knot and the hard copy invites again? I would say no to the hard copy invites, only because there's so many different types.
Since making this video, unfortunately, we found out that the company who did create our invites are no longer selling on Etsy. So I do apologize that this was not a second collaboration video, because we don't have a collaborator for it.
So yeah, I wouldn't preferably use her company again, only because, like I stated, like there's so many other companies out here to use. I honestly might have preferred to use a Black-owned company, but wasn't in the budget, and I want to pay people what they deserve. So yeah. And then would we do the Knot website again? Yes, yes, and yes, yes. Now, I would say I would only use the Knot for wedding invites, and I wouldn't use them for events. You know, Evite is great for events. So yeah, that's pretty much the sum of everything. And as always, if you have any questions or any concerns, feel free to reach out, and stay tuned for the next video.